I'm Ted Reese. I'm part of the DSYP, the Democratic Socialists of your party. Sorry, I've just lost my page. Basically, we've been fighting for a minimal programme for maximum democracy in your party, trying to get your party to adopt our programme, which we consider to be much more radical than the one presently proposed. We've written our own alternative founding documents, and at the moment we don't know if your party is going to be an explicitly socialist party, obviously, because that was voted on today. But we want to turn your party into one that is explicitly socialist, and not on the terms that Jeremy Corbyn would probably define socialism, which would be, renationalising public services and a few core industries, which would basically amount to a mixed economy. Our understanding is that capitalism per se, not any kind of type of capitalism that you might want to name, is increasingly incapable of meeting the needs of the working class. So, as the system advances and evolves, it needs to exploit us more and more. More and more of the working day needs to be turned into profits. It needs us to work harder. It needs higher unemployment. All of these types of things. It needs to commodify nature at an accelerating rate, destroy the environment, which undermines the basis for capitalism itself eventually. And, so in the long run, there's not going to be the potential for a mixed economy. That's not to say that we shouldn't fight for any reforms, and we should only fight for, we should only try and mobilise the working class in the event that we could make a revolution out of it. Pretty much agree with everything Richard said. We need a programme of action. The DSYP is clear that we need to organise not just for elections, but on the streets, in our communities, in our workplaces, in all of these different ways to start uniting the working class as broadly as possible, and not just nationally but internationally, starting with our European colleagues. And we've got a programme, we've got a points of unity programme, and we've got a set of demands, which, as I say, we're fighting for maximum democracy in the party. We want a member-led democracy, branch-led democracy. We want recognition of the proto-branches, and we want the leadership, because we do accept that there needs to be a degree of centralisation. But we need the leadership to be accountable and answerable to the membership and to the branches at the local level. And the regional branches should also be answerable to the local branches. That's where the real power resides, because that's where most of the membership will be. We want 50% of funds raised to go to the branches, so that the branches, are empowered to have the resources they need to organise and to be able to go out and build working class solidarity. So it's things like this that we are demanding and that we want the party to adopt. And I do think we have had a sizable influence on the membership, despite being a very new organisation and being under-resourced and having to, do this in a very limited amount of time. So I urge everyone here to check out the DSYP website, check out our points of unity, check out our alternative programme. We've got an abridged version on the website. If that would be a good introduction, leading on to checking out the fuller programme. And like I say, I agree with Richard. We need a programme of action. You can't just elect 600 social democratic or even 600 socialist or communist MPs into Parliament and expect the powers that be to step aside and obey. They've never done that. They never will do it. But we also do need to emphasise along the way, as we try to communicate socialist ideas that capitalism is not sustainable. It's not sustainable socially, economically, environmentally. All of those things are tied up intimately. They all overlap. You know, the more automated the system gets, the more difficult it is for capital to generate sustainable profitability, which therefore deters investment, because if the profits aren't coming in, the investment falls away. And that's why, you know, I know Jeremy Corbyn likes to say austerity is a political choice, but from the point of view of capital and its sustainability, it's a question of survival for capital. So if you're in the capitalist class, you've survived the last decade and a half because of the cuts to public services and to social services and to working class living standards. So unfortunately, you know, it would be nice to be able to sit here and say, yeah, we just need to reverse austerity, we just need higher wages. And as I say, I'm all for fighting for reforms such as pegging wages to inflation and that sort of thing, as they've done in Venezuela for quite a long time now. But we have to go further in the end, and it is going to happen this century, like, and maybe sooner. The next crash is going to be horrific. It's going to be worse than 2008. So it's worth preparing ourselves mentally. It's worth speaking to everyone we know, you know, about the state of the economy, and trying to, you know, we have to just convert people, like from, if someone is, you know, liberal left, you've got to start converting them a little bit further to the left, and so on and so forth, you know what I mean? You've got to, like, the radical social democrats have got to be converted all the way to socialism, and, you know, so on and so forth. So, because we're not going to be able to do it in one fell swoop. This is why we say, you know, reformism is part of the struggle for revolution, but we can't stop at reformism. So, you know, one of the demands that we place, that we want the party to adopt, is that we will not take power until we are able to overturn the constitutional status quo and replace a capitalist state with a socialist state, because we're not going to accept being put in a position where we're just managing the decline of capitalism and working class living standards. We're not going to do what happened in Greece and, you know, take power, say we're going to raise living standards, and then go, oh, actually, we can't do that. You know, we're going to fight for socialism all the way. I'll just come back quickly to the comrade at the back. I did mean reforms as part of the struggle, but if I'm being sort of picky, reformism is part of the struggle in that it exposes itself and its own limitations along the way, and we have to make sure that those limitations are fully exposed by exposing them.